the saying that this is all there is isn't true at all. But at the same exact time, when you're in time, it is true. So this is all there is. But if people understood that deep down in their hearts, deep down, without their body, the heart of their spiritual body, they don't want to live in a place with dragons and all kinds of bad guys that have got to be stopped by some heroes. And they don't want to live in a place where they wonder about going off into another far-off space galaxy and meeting maybe aliens or maybe meeting happy, jumpy blue critters that jump around and do all kinds of different things that they do. Because literally, those are thoughts in their heads that other people in human bodies create to give other people in human bodies ideas. Now, those people in human bodies who think they're humans don't realize that they are the greatest tool of physical creation through the mind that they have. The mind that they have creates things. If you realize that the drop of water holds a little bit of minerals in it, little tiny bit of minerals, little tiny bit, and a pool of mud, at that point, you can see it has a lot of minerals in it. It's more minerals than water. It's a little bit of disposition of the same things. Well, in that little drop of water, there are billions of little things living in it. Now, expand that drop of water to looking like the globe with some minerals in it, looking like the earth with some minerals in it. Now, we are in a big pond of its own kind of thing. Like if we were in a pond and we were a individual drop of water in that pond. But in that pond, space is a different color than water and sky. So space is the pond that the earth is in because it's a bigger piece of minerals and water. Just like in a drop of water, there's a little bit of minerals. In a puddle of water, there's more minerals because you see more minerals than water. Okay. Now, when you say this is all there is, we have a human mind that gathers this spiritual energy of light, heat, and sensation, and now has a doorway of sense which can make decisions. And when that doorway of sense of decisions comes into play, they can interact with each other. And when each other come into play and they agree on something, and it becomes familiar, it becomes famous, and it moves forth. And it's like, this is stuff that we've always been doing from a spiritual place. And we don't realize that when we say this is all we have, we don't want the things we fantasize about. We don't want the things that we see on movies. We don't want the drama and the whatever, but we watch what we're afraid of because we're watching out. But instead, we're sitting in our human bodies looking out, watching what our human bodies don't want to happen. So we're watching it to keep ourselves cautious of it. So we make ourselves what we watch. Human beings and bodies who think that they're scared of something. It's a way that God kept us scared so that we wouldn't ruin our own game. And I'm using the name God, like God's not trying to make us scared, but there's an even balance between what you should and shouldn't do. Now, we know that we don't want dragons, and we know that we don't want, Loch Ness monsters and all those kind of monsters, and we don't want those. But we still are fascinated by them and watch them because they are in our spiritual mind of creatures we have been before in physical bodies, and we remember them from those places. Now, if you've ever been to those places, this makes more sense to you. But if you haven't, it should make more sense to you than it used to. And you might be able to now, since you're starting to understand, see what I mean, and actually experience from your spiritual body, and actually register it, feel it, know it, sense it, be it in your human body. You go out and you come back with experiences that are light years ahead of our human abilities, and coming back with experiences of real events that can be prevented. And you can do the same thing going backwards in what we call time to actually know the truth. You can't prevent it because nothing can be prevented. The future can't be prevented, but certain aspects of it from your perspective can. If we stop making things we're afraid of be the things we watch, violence, you don't want someone to beat you up, but you want to watch people beating each other up. You don't want to have a shootout with anybody, literally, but you want to watch people shooting out. You don't want to be blown up or just barely escape by the skin of your teeth being blown up, but you want to watch it. But in a human body, those things all can happen to you. So you're like, oh, I don't want to do that. It gives me a thrill to watch it. The people who don't watch it get more of a thrill by being involved in stuff like that, or stunts or things like that. And other people who are balanced in between it have a different feeling about what we're doing here. There is a different thing that we're doing here. And I'm not going to go too deep into it because you'll be able to figure out on your own. And I don't want to give you your destiny because that's your responsibility. That's what you want to do. You came here as a being of light to change things for the better, not for the worse. But you've got too caught into watching the things that you're afraid of that you started enjoying watching them, but not wanting to have them happen to you. You watch horror, you watch like sex and smut, and you downgrade and talk about all those people like they're bad because you're comparing yourself to them and wanting to either be looking like them or you think it's sort of gross that they do it. There's opposite sides of the spectrum and everything in between. But say you don't like one of the people that is all chauvinistic and they're all decked out in all the famous gear and all the cool clothes and they're hip and they're trendy and they got funky kind of hairstyles and piercings here and there. They're just out of line completely on one side that you're like, why do they got to be flashy and whatever if they really understood how important they were? So there's that. But then you have the other side of people who look on the other far side of the spectrum and say, look at these broke people who look like dirt and grime and don't even care about themselves enough to take care of themselves. But those people might be happy because they say, I don't need all that flashy stuff to be happy. And that's true too. So we are deserving and worthy of all those amazing things. But to have them and flash them and show them off is exactly what we're not supposed to do. Because everybody is a quote-unquote star. Now take your spiritual body away, take your physical body away, and let's use your astral body. You are a star of light, sending messages to your higher self and lower self and divine self all at the same time. But only one is working right now. Right now, your astral self is working inside your physical body from your astral body. Now, there is a higher being that we can't not only see, hear, taste, or touch in our senses. There's the highest being that is us all at the same time. Now, that is touchable and talk toable, and you can actually have it in you like I do. And I'm not saying it to be cool because people would probably want to shut me up and tell me to go to hell because they want to live their life by the way they think they want to think. But the funny thing is they want to know the truth and they want to know these things, but they're afraid to admit it to themselves because it's so deep and so scary to have to do it. It's the time. I wouldn't be the receiver and the owner and the conveyor of this message if it wasn't time. Or it wouldn't have happened. Nothing happens in time that is out of quote-unquote time. There is no time. But everything that happens in time is going accordingly to how it is supposed to be. Not planned, not these silly words we use, but there is a destiny and it's happening right now. And I'm trying to show it to people, but they're looking at me as a person and getting ego hurt and getting ego insulted and trying to find fault in Dan because just like they watch TV and want to see shootouts and explosions but don't want to be blown up, they want to say, those people are stupid. They shouldn't do that. Why do they do that? Why do they wear that? Look at that bum. Look at that rich slob. Look at that rich asshole who's showing off to everybody. Why doesn't he share? Look at that broke fool who just wants the government to hand everything over to him. People do that and don't realize that they're one of them. They're one of those specific traits. And they're also one owning the opinion of someone who thinks that those people are those things at all because they aren't. They're alive, they're living this, they're just like you. Their love, their hate, their pain, their joy, and they're growing spiritually through a body that will compose and die someday. Compose, then decompose. That's what we do. We write songs and we die. And you don't want to die. not knowing the truth. And now that the truth is here and can be shown to you, it's no trick being pulled on you. I have no interest in money. I have nothing but the interest of waking up your true eternal soul, because now it's time to do it. There's no questions about it.